Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user in the relationship advice subreddit. The post is titled, "I cheated on my wife. She left without telling me anything. How can I get her back? Life has been a whirlwind. We were together for 10 years, 2 years of dating and 8 years of marriage. But I made a huge mistake and cheated on her. It was just once, just one damn time. Somehow, she found out. I never knew how because I haven't been able to talk to her since then. I guess she discovered something on my phone. I came home that afternoon as usual, but everything felt weird. The house felt emptier, and I quickly realized that her things were gone. I panicked and started calling her over and over, but her phone didn't even ring. Suddenly, I saw some papers on the table. She was divorcing me. Under the divorce papers, there was a note that said, "This is what you do with cheaters." That was the last thing I received from her 2 years ago now. Of course, I called the contact information for her lawyer, who has been the only bridge between us. However, he just told me that he was her legal representative and that she didn't want to see me. I fought. I got angry. In the end, her lawyer advised me that it would be better if I got my own lawyer. I didn't want to. I absolutely refused to accept that 10 years of our relationship would end like this. I know I have failed, but I always wanted to fix it. If she gave me the chance, I believe I could make that sweet and special girl I met more than 10 years ago fall in love with me again. Many couples go through similar situations and get over them. Why can't we be just another couple in that statistic? Why, after 8 years of marriage, am I thrown away like garbage for a mistake? I don't deserve such indifference. I haven't been able to see her or even hear her voice in 2 years. 2 years of not being able to see or talk to the person you love the most is too much of a punishment. This situation has destroyed me emotionally, mentally, and even physically. I ended up consuming an unhealthy amount of alcohol, going weeks without eating or sleeping. I was a zombie for months, functioning on autopilot. I wanted to die, but I couldn't let myself die because I always held on to hope that she would come back. My therapist says it's really hard when you can't get closure from a relationship because your mind can't process that it's over. You're always thinking that person will knock on the door or that you'll wake up from sleep and they'll be there by your side. The divorce was finalized over a year ago. To be honest, I didn't make it easy. I didn't want to get divorced, and I still don't understand how we can be divorced. I asked for a couples therapy, but she refused. From what my lawyer tells me, her lawyer advised her to go at least once or twice, but she declined. It took quite a while, but finally the divorce happened. I can't even describe the feeling. It's as if a piece of me had been cut out. I know I hurt her, I know I failed, but I believe we all deserve a second chance. When I couldn't take the pain anymore, I decided to start therapy. My therapist doesn't give me advice to get her back. He only focuses on me moving on with my life, encouraging me to meet new people and go out on dates. But I don't want to. At this point, I'm not even interested in sex anymore. A few days ago, something happened that completely shattered me. I was having a few beers with my friend at my house, let's call him Nick. We were both pretty drunk. I started talking about my wife and he said to me, "You should put more effort into getting over her. She's over you and is happy having a life away from you. You should do the same. You can't live in this self-pity all your life." Something in his words hit me, but not in the way he expected. He spoke with such confidence that my wife is over me and is happy now. How does he know that? At this point, I got angry and started pressuring him to talk. He refused, but I pressed as hard as I could. I cried. I begged him to tell me if he knew something. I needed to know something about her. Until he finally told me his wife has been in contact with my wife for the last year. They were great friends, and I remember Sabrina being very sad about losing contact with my wife. The thing is that my wife went to live in Norway, got married to a guy there, and is about 7 months pregnant. I felt like dying, literally felt like dying with this information. How could she do this to me? How could it be that while I was crying, getting drunk, missing her, and wanting to die every day, she was happily on the other side of the world, getting married, having and getting pregnant by another guy? How could it be that she didn't have a child with me in many, many years, to the point that I thought she was infertile, but she got pregnant by this new guy so easily? Where did this guy come from? I have no answers for absolutely anything, and I feel like I can't go on with my life without these answers. The only thing I can think of is that she had revenge with the first Norwegian guy she came across, got pregnant, and decided to keep the baby. Maybe she got married because she wanted to stay in that country legally. I guess, like in most countries, getting married is a good option for that. I don't know. These thoughts are killing me. I refuse to think that she is in love with him. I need to contact her. I need to talk to her. I need to know what's going on because she acts like our 10-year history and 8-year marriage mean nothing to her. I need advice on how to act. I feel the impulse to travel to where she is and look for her, but how could I do that? I don't know what city she's in. I don't know where she lives. I don't have a number to contact her. She closed her social media. Her family is small, they don't live in the same country as me, and all of them have blocked me. I'm totally lost. I don't know what to do at this point. I still want her back. Yes, even though she's pregnant. I feel like this is a nightmare and I need to wake up now. Edit. I read almost all the comments, and when I say almost all, I really mean almost all. It's hard to process all the negative things that have been said about me. I feel like you guys forget that you are talking to a person and not an inanimate object. I thought I might find more empathy by sharing my story here. Just 2 people expressing empathy toward me made me feel better. I'm not looking for validation or for anyone to say that what I did is okay. I know it's not, and I have to live with that daily. I will try to respond, but of course, I'll never be able to reply to all the comments here. I guess none of you know what it's like to have a broken heart and not be able to get over someone. You don't decide who you love, and you don't decide when you get over someone. It happens when it has to. For those who doubt my story, unfortunately, it is real. I would love for this to be fake, but sadly it is not, and I have to live with this mess every day. Everyone assumes she's happy now. I haven't seen her in 2 years, so I can't have any idea if she's happier or not. Being pregnant doesn't necessarily mean happiness, and neither does being married. We don't really know the circumstances of this marriage. Maybe she got married because she became pregnant and felt alone in a country where she has no one. Maybe she just held on to the other guy. Of course, I blame myself for this. This wouldn't have happened if I'd been a better person and a better husband to her. But unfortunately, I can't change what I did wrong. The only thing I could do is try to make it up to her. But how do you make it up to someone who doesn't want to give you the chance to do so? Some people say that she doesn't owe me a second chance. That was hard to read, but I understand that maybe she doesn't have to. I never openly blamed her for the infertility issues. It was just a thought. We both went to the doctor, and in both cases, the test revealed that everything was fine. I never understood why we couldn't conceive, and the thought that she was infertile did cross my mind, as did the idea that I might be too. But in most cases of infertility, it is due to a female factor. Horrible things were said, like that I would hurt my ex-wife if she were here. I never physically hurt her, and I never will. I am not an abusive person. I am not a monster. I know it's hard to empathize with me. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt her far beyond what I can express, but I am not a monster or a narcissist. Some people said that I never loved her. Otherwise, I wouldn't have cheated on her. This statement doesn't seem fair to me. Do you think you can kidnap the concept of love and dictate to another person what their real feelings are? Do you think you are inside my head or heart? Only then would you know what I feel. You can't tell me that I don't love her. There hasn't been a day since she left that I haven't regretted it. No one can tell me this isn't love. Lastly, humans are more complex than most people here think. Just because I cheated on her doesn't mean I don't love her or that I don't have feelings. I call what I did a mistake because how else would I describe it? I thought part of accepting blame is acknowledging that it was my mistake. But everyone here takes those words as if I'm trying to twist the situation when that's not the case. You've completely twisted my words. I know how much I hurt her. Maybe in my post I'm focusing on myself because I was never able to explain myself to her. Since then, it has been one attempt after another to piece together a story in my head that doesn't make sense. I lost everything from one moment to the next. I've simply tried to be open with my feelings, but it doesn't seem to work here. Not for me, at least. I know the damage I did to her. This woman left her life, her friends, even her job. No one does that for a breakup unless they're going through some level of absolute pain. I understand that. I can see and feel the pain I put her through, and that makes me feel even more guilty. Honestly, I'm going to respond to some comments below and then log off of Reddit for a couple of days until I'm in a better place. Update. These days have been very strange. At times I feel numb and at others desperate. A lot of things have happened. I want to start by answering something and then I will provide an update. Some people asked, why Norway? I don't know exactly, but she is a polyglot. She speaks 6 languages. Many of these languages are connected to cultures that she has always liked. Norwegian is just one of them. She has always been interested in Norwegian culture and has been there before, but she is also interested in other cultures and speaks other languages. So for me, that was never an indicator that she might have gone to this country. Regarding the update, the first thing I will say is that the post reached some people in my circle. Sabrina's sister is on Reddit. She knows the story and realized it was me. She told Sabrina. Sabrina is angry at Nick for revealing information, and Nick is angry at me for posting on Reddit, and because he says I pressured him to talk. I am angry at both of them for being 2 jerks who watched me suffer for 2 years and decided not to help me. They didn't care about my marriage. Why should I care about their marriage? Sabrina could have given me my ex-wife's phone number a long time ago, but she decided to prioritize her friendship with my ex instead of helping 2 friends mend their marriage. Meanwhile, no one cared about my feelings. I'm done with them at this point. Regarding my ex-wife, I've been thinking a lot. She can't just disappear. I convinced myself that if I searched hard enough, I could find something related to her. I follow some of her relatives from a fake Instagram account, but I never found anything related to her. I searched a lot, really a lot, and found a name that I had seen before but hadn't caught my attention until then. It was a lady with a name that is not typical in the United States or my wife's country, and a very unusual last name. I went to her Instagram profile and she had no pictures or anything, just a small profile picture that you can barely see. I decided to look her up on Facebook and found the same lady with the same profile picture. Only her Facebook profile is quite open. She is indeed a lady from Norway. I checked everything I could on this profile and was convinced that it had something to do with my wife. How else would a relative of hers have this woman among their friends? I saw a lot of pictures. People, plants, mountains, gardens, lakes, flowers, typical things that an older lady posts until I came across a picture where my ex was dressed as a bride hugging a guy. I had to translate the text. The lady was congratulating her son on his wedding. There were a few more pictures, not many, some even included members of my ex's family in the wedding photos. The dates of the pictures were from a year ago. A year ago, she married this guy. I don't understand how it could happen so fast. When did she meet him? I honestly thought she got married after she got pregnant, not before, which baffles me even more. After that, I found another picture, a group photo where she was far away, but of course I recognized her. The same guy had his hands on her shoulders, hugging her. Only 9 months, and she's already in a stable enough relationship that he's introduced her to his family. What the hell is going on? I feel like I have even more questions in my head now. I know I shouldn't be upset, but I am. I know I lost her because I was an idiot, but it's hard to get this feeling out of my head right now. Anyways, for those who imagine this fantasy that my ex is with some kind of Norwegian Chris Hemsworth, let me tell you, it's not like that. This guy is too tall, too blonde, too pale, with hair too long and kind of chunky, to be honest. He looks more like the old cartoon of Vikings and is definitely not a Chris Hemsworth. I managed to find his Facebook profile, but he has almost nothing there. His profile says he's an engineer who wears metal band t-shirts at 38. I don't know how to take this because I'm an engineer myself, just in a different field. Why would she look for a man with the same profession as me? My wife has always liked heavy metal, which I always found nasty, but I never complained. After all, your partner doesn't have to have the same musical tastes as you. I mentioned this because maybe that was the way they connected. She used to connect easily with people who liked the same type of music. I don't know, but I honestly look at it and think, where did she get this guy from? He can definitely do better than this. The pregnancy thing still messes with my head. I try not to think about it. I can't understand it. I'm not infertile like the comments suggest. I've been to the doctor and I know I'm not. But God, it kills me to think that she's going to have another man's child. I don't get it. I feel like this is beyond anything I ever imagined. And no, I'm not going to Norway. I'm not going to try to contact her. I still want to see her and talk to her, but I obviously can't force her to do that. I have too much to deal with right now and too much to talk about in therapy. If by any chance this post reaches my ex, I want you to know that I still love you. You know where to contact me. If by any chance this post reaches the new dude, I want you to know the only reason you have a chance with this woman is because a big idiot halfway across the world completely ruined it. You most probably met a woman who was probably very broken from her divorce, took advantage of her situation, and trapped her with a baby. You don't know how to play fair. User reference inner said, complaining that your ex-wife's new husband is too blonde and tall is a hilarious level of cope. To this user, BlackBear2024 said, when I read those two parts, he went from pathetic to super pathetic. No way of him coming back from that stuff. All respect lost. It's so bad on many levels. User Long-Winded Ogre said, OP doesn't for 1 second think of his wife as a person, and what she wants or how she wants to proceed is irrelevant to him. He believes he can make her fall in love with him again. The fact that she wants nothing further to do with him is irrelevant. Only what he wants matters. He talks about how his friends should help them save their marriage when he's the only one who thinks it's worth saving. They're bad friends because they won't ignore his ex-wife and listen to him exclusively. Dude is not fit to date. This next post was made in the entitled Parents subreddit by a user named Rainy Drops. The post is titled, My parents are stalking me because God told them. Hi, I'm a 24-year-old female and I live on my own outside of my parents' house. I have a bit of a situation going on with my friend David. We had a fling a few months ago and now it's kind of happening again. It started out as just hanging out and enjoying David's company, but it slowly turned into more. The thing is, my parents knew about the first fling. David used to be inseparable from my dad. They were like father and son in a way. Until David and I had our fling, that is. Now my dad is trying to control him, telling him he is to have no contact with me outside of a group chat we are all in. We think this is stupid. A few weeks ago, we were hanging out and went to Five Below to get snacks and just hang out. While we were there, my parents walked in. They don't live in the same city as me. I live about 20 minutes away from them, and they just randomly showed up at the store right by my house. They claimed it was to find batteries. At that point, my dad confronted David and said that he told him not to be around me and that he told me he isn't going to care anymore and not to go crying to him when I get heartbroken. My mom texted me later saying it was totally the Holy Spirit revealing that something was happening so they can intervene. I'm kind of glad that happened because after David and I left, it opened up a conversation about what's going on between us. We both enjoy each other's company and have feelings for each other, but we are taking it slow. While we were talking, my dad was texting me 3-page essays on why I'm stupid for not doing as he says and that he is no longer invested. He told me David only wants me for one thing and doesn't care about me as much as he does, and that if David is in love with me, he'd ask him for permission to date his daughter and play by his rules. David told me he really cares about me and that it's a lie that he doesn't. Anyway, we decided to continue hanging out, especially since my dad said he no longer cares. We both have annual passes to Disneyland, so we decided to go together after work. While we were there, my mom and dad texted me asking if I was at Disneyland. I ignored their texts. We were there until closing, and as we were walking out, my dad walked up to us with a Starbucks bag and asked to talk. David kept walking and said no, and of course I wanted to keep the peace, so I begged David to stay, but he said no. I told him I'm his ride, and he said he'd just get an Uber, but I told him no, so I just left my parents there and left. I cried in the car, and David told me it's not my fault. While I was in the car, I texted my mom asking how she knew I was there. She said, God is watching, and I asked again how she knew, and she said she'd meet me at my house and tell me. I said, no, you will not meet at my house. That's weird, Mom. How did you know I was at Disneyland? She stopped messaging me, and then my dad messaged me this. OP, if you want to know how we knew you were there, you can talk to us in person. We brought peace and tried to be loving, even though I knew David was doing stuff that he said he wouldn't do. I just want him to care for you as much as I do and your mother does. But you're going to find out, honey, and it's really sad. He had every opportunity right there to confess his love for you and to ask us for space. We could have had a good discussion, but instead, he was a coward and ran away. From here on out, you are not to come to my home. We can meet in public to talk about how we knew you were at Disneyland, because we had every intention of telling you, and that was going to be part of the conversation. I've never lied to you, and I never will. I do not have anything to hide. That conversation could have been great, and we're still willing to have it, but David sadly is not. I did nothing to him to deserve the treatment that we got from him, and I've never treated him any way other than I would treat a good son. I hope and I pray that he doesn't do what I know he's going to do. Wolves come into the sheep and they separate the sheep from the flock, and then they devour the sheep. But the good shepherd will protect you, and if David ever was a sheep, he will listen to the voice of God, the people that loved him and cherished him. I love you, OP, and I wish nothing but the best for you. If you want to talk, we are willing to talk to you about anything you want to know. I responded with, Dad, I don't expect him to be in love with me. That's way too soon. If you don't want to hide the truth, just explain how you knew I was there. I will not be meeting in person for a conversation that can be had over text. That is how it's going to come out, because you need to see my demeanor and everything. And shame on you guys for trying to point the finger back at us. You are the ones who are not doing right and hiding. Literally every box that was checked for you to like David has been erased by David. All the things that you liked about him are now gone, and it was by David's own hand. OP, from now on, do whatever you want. I'm cutting this pain off. I mean it. Don't come by my house because we will not be able to support your drama any longer. You're going to have to learn the hard way again. The only difference is that now your mother and I are numb and we don't feel anything. God will show the truth, but I wanted to make sure you weren't hurt in the process. I don't care if I meet with them or not. I can't handle the helicopter parenting anymore. I feel that anytime I have ever brought a boy around, my dad has to place himself in the middle, forcing the guy out. The guys who have been okay with it in the past end up not working out because of my fear that if my dad can control him now, my whole future will still be controlled by him. If I don't do it their way, then I'm doing wrong. I really like David and he likes me. I'm 24 years old and for once I have a guy who doesn't run away from me because of my overly involved parents. I don't know what to do. What concerns me is how my parents followed me there and why. I just don't know what to do. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for reading as much as you did, and please, any suggestions would help because I feel alone right now. Edit, thank you to everyone who gave advice and suggestions. I decided I'm going to let myself settle for a few days. I'm going to agree to hear my parents out just to know how they got my location. As controlling as they are, I still love them and I can say with certainty that they have always been honest. My dad said he will tell me how they found out I was there in person. I'm going to give myself a few days to calm my nerves and emotions down. I'll post an update when that happens. Honestly, thank you everyone. It's nice to see that I'm not crazy and that I'm not a terrible person. It's reassuring to see that this isn't normal behavior, and I can't thank you all enough for that. It gave me a bit of peace of mind, to be honest. Thank you all for giving advice to a no-name person on Reddit. Edit 2, I texted my dad and told him I'd be willing to talk within the next few days. He then told me I need to find a new phone provider. I think that cancels out them tracking me via phone provider, especially since this is another attempt to control me by using fear of cutting off a service that I can very easily get on my own. I looked for any AirTags but couldn't find anything. He still refuses to tell me how he tracked me unless I meet with him, my mother, and our pastor at our church. Update. I met with them today. My pastor and his wife had my back 100%. My dad told me how they found me. I guess I was still sharing my location with him on my phone through messages. He said God revealed that he still had my location. My parents then drove to my house to see if my car was there. They saw David's car there and then waited outside of Disneyland until we left. I told them that's freaking weird and that makes me uncomfortable. They said they did it out of love because they were concerned. Basically, my pastor and his wife are 100% behind me regarding dating who I want and not letting my parents decide. I should have the opportunity to decide if I like the guy first one-on-one and then bring him to meet my parents. It's a little different because we have all known David for years. But still, I have the right to decide when my parents will be involved. My dad did not like this. He said he'd leave the church and then blocked me on all of his social media. He said he can't stand around and wait for my heart to get broken, and the whole time he was trashing David. He called me a few names that were extremely hurtful, and I was glad to see the pastor had my back. They told me I am no longer under his roof. I'm not doing anything wrong. The conversation ended with my dad claiming he wants to go no contact, which I'm sure he won't follow through on. It sucks. I love my parents, but in my dad's eyes, if he can't have control over this aspect, I don't get him at all. And that's probably how it's going to be for a while. Thank you guys. Update/rant. Well, I have gone low contact with my dad. It's been hard, but David has stuck with me through it. He has been helping me see that I can make my own choices. Whether or not it works out with David, I'm grateful for him helping me through this. We have still been hanging out and seeing each other, and I think it's going well. I switched phone providers, but yeah, I just wanted to clarify some things and answer some questions I saw. Let me clear up a few things. No, David is not my half-brother. I saw a lot of people speculating that, and that is not the case at all. And regarding the abuse when I was a kid, it was not SA. My dad never abused me in that way. I used to get beat, full-on beatings. I got black eyes, bloody noses, hair ripped from my head, beat with wire hangers. I put up with it because if I didn't, my little brother would have been beaten instead. My dad hit me until my senior year of high school. The last time he hit me, I fought back, ensuing a fistfight in the middle middle of our living room. He stopped hitting us because he got court ordered to go to anger management, and that wasn't regarding the abuse towards me. He beat my mom because she didn't want to get intimate with him. He beat his own wife for not wanting to go to bed with him. He was either going to get a restraining order put on him or he had to do court-ordered anger management. Of course, he took the anger management. After he stopped beating me, it slowly turned into gaslighting and control, but I accepted it because I'd rather him be overprotective than beat me like he used to. That's why I made so many excuses for him. In my mind, I thought, well, at least he isn't beating me, my brother, or my mom anymore, so this is fine. Also, my brother is a huge reason why I tried to keep the peace. He still lives with them. Due to this whole issue, my brother has been put on blast. If I go completely no contact, my brother will suffer. I'm low contact right now, and my brother has been telling me it's bad at home. My dad has directed all his anger about my dating life onto him. He is charging my brother more rent. He is nitpicking about my brother's life. He is calling him mean, awful names now because I'm not taking it anymore. I feel awful for him, but he is saving to move, and once he is out, I'm going completely no contact with my parents. That's why I am still trying to maintain some level of peace because I care about my brother. I know I'm not the brightest tool in the shed, but it's taken a while to get to where I am now. I've started therapy, and I'm learning that I am allowed to be me and not care about what my dad says or thinks. I'm proud of where I am now, and it's an ongoing process, but I'm getting there. User BlurtleBaby said, if you find AirTags, take them to the police station and explain why you want to leave them with the police. Your parents will be surprised when they pull up to the police station. You might also consider reporting them for stalking. Additionally, you may want to look into getting a restraining order against them. User Tigger said, there is a tracking device somewhere on one of you. Do they not want you to ever have any relationships? Or do they just want to force you into one of their choosing? To this OP said, mainly, it's my dad who is concerned about the relationship. He wants it heavily chaperoned. According to his way, the first 3 dates should be double dates with my parents. He tries to enforce no kissing. He gets very personal with the guy, asking him questions like if he is still a virgin or not and what his intentions are with me. He will basically tell the guy what to do in the relationship, and if the guy doesn't comply, he is labeled a coward and isn't good enough for me. I let my dad have his way once. The guy at the time was really nice. After we got the green light to date, I realized, wow, I don't like this guy. I wanted to end it, but I felt bad. For years after I ended it, my dad would tell me I need to bite the bullet and settle for that guy. My dad said he liked him because he respected him. No, he liked that guy because he could control him and in turn control me. If I don't do it his way, I'm called horrible names and threatened with being cut off, but not really because he can't control me if he cuts me off. It's a thing I've dealt with my whole life. This final post was made in the same subreddit by a user named LowBuy. The post is entitled Mother Steals from a Child with Cancer. I know the title sounds bad because it is. My mother is not a very nice person, to say the least. She is lazy, doesn't like to work, and can never stay in one job, one house, or keep one car. She is habitually homeless. Thankfully, I live with my dad now, but I still had to live with her for 14 years and deal with the crap that she put me through. Here are some of her scams that she has pulled. When I was 6, she made me do Shave for the Brave and raise money for a kid who had cancer. She raised over $500 on Facebook for this kid and his family. She kept all the money from the fundraiser. Also, for anyone who is wondering, the kid is someone I knew as a baby. Thankfully, he is okay and recovered from the cancer. The last time I spoke to him was a few years ago, and he was doing great. She organized a basketball camp in our hometown for kids, took registration fees from parents, then canceled the event and kept all the money, leaving 20-30 people without their $200. When she faced backlash, she used that money to take her and her friend to Las Vegas for a month where she drank and gambled. She kept asking for money from my grandparents, and when they cut her off, she threatened to keep me and my sisters from them unless they gave her money. She stole $400 out of my wallet for groceries. The money was my birthday money from various family members. She said it was for groceries when I noticed it was missing. There were no groceries, but there were a few good bottles of wine that she spent the next few days drinking in the garage. She would call into restaurants like McDonald's and say that her order was wrong when she hadn't ordered anything, just to go back and get a free meal. So that sums her up as a person. And then she wonders why I don't talk to her. User C64 said, are there any other family members that she's stealing from? If you live on your own, consider cutting her out of your life. Wait until she's older and needs a place to stay. You can tell her that you don't have the room for her. To this, OP said, she has stolen from my grandfather many times. Credit card information, cash, heirlooms, etc. The only reason he still talks to her is because of my grandmother, and I live with my dad because I'm still 16, but I haven't talked to her in months. User Few Squirrels said, I'm so sorry you had to live with her and deal with her scams. I hope things are much better with your dad.